feel like the biggest takeaway from this conversation, for me at least, is like at the end of the day, when we're on our deathbeds, like the most important thing is the relationships that you built in your life. And like this was just a good reminder that we need to prioritize that and to invest in the people that you love. And an easy way to like start to do that for those out there that are interested is like grab a good friend, go to lunch one-on-one or pick up the phone and call that person and just like tell them why you appreciate them, tell them why you love them, and see what happens.
Yeah, how was that travel day? The start of it, you guys had your flight that was supposed to land in San Francisco at like 4, and then it got delayed twice.
Like 4 or 5 hours, and then we randomly checked the phone, like on the app, scrolled up to where it refreshed, and all of a sudden changed from 5 hours delay to boarding in 20 minutes. And just called Hubert and was like, get a lift now. And that was the 0 to 100. And we ended up making it through, and one of the last ones to board. It was just stressful. But when we both got in the lift and we called each other and we're just like, can't do anything now. Like we're on, like, even though it's saying it's like literally boarding.
Yeah.
We'll just deal with it when we get there.
Whatever happens.
Yeah, whatever happens, happens.
There's no one I'd rather argue with an airlines about getting free tickets with than it's like worst case scenario, we're just like on a later flight or early morning flight or whatever.
Once we sat down and just like got a chance to take a deep breath, and then it was like it's settled in that we were coming to see you guys and we were about to have a phenomenal weekend.
And then on your Uber ride from the airport to my house.
Oh yeah, did we tell you what happened? No, I didn't hear that. We were in the Uber, we were having like a just conversation about his business, and all of a sudden I like heard a Lane 8 song, and I like looked up and Sirius XM and This Never Happened radio.
No way.
I was like, did you put that on for us? He's all, he didn't speak any English. He's all, I like music. Very chill. And I was like, okay. Like, of course, guys, chill. This is,
And we're like, we're literally going to go see him like live.
we're here for that.
Yeah.
So do you understand?
No.
No.
I tried to like connect with him on it. I was like, it's so like, gets you in the flow. He's all,
Really wanted to tell them.
very good.
Yeah. I mean, odds.
That's awesome.
Great.
It was awesome.
And the drive up here flew by. Like 4.5 hours. Felt like an hour.
Yeah.
We're just
Well, I feel like we were just in such deep conversation like the entire time.
Yeah.
Like when I was picturing the drive, I was just like, all right, we're going up to Tahoe. We're going to go see our favorite artists. We're just probably going to listen and just vibe out to Lane 8 the entire time, or Lane 8 radio or whatever. And I don't think we listened or like focus on a song for a single second of the ride, because we were just talking, having like heart to heart conversation the entire time,
flow
which is immaculate.
Conversations around like relationships, finances, your career, past traumas leading to gratitude today. Like, it was, I also thought it was cool, like in retrospect, like almost everyone had an opportunity to like, people like weren't interrupting. I feel very rarely that when it's 5 people, it's one conversation.
Yeah.
It's like the front 2 people are talking and the back 3 are like having their own conversation. One person's asleep, but like everyone was involved the entire time.
Yeah. One person would talk and it was just, you're speaking into an audience and everyone was just like fully just invested in it. Yeah. Wouldn't ask questions until they were done explaining what they
Yeah.
I feel like the whole weekend was like that. We just we didn't really talk over each other. It would let each other like actually talk through what we were feeling, thinking. Because one of the hardest things I feel like when you don't have good listeners is you can't actually get through what you're thinking, because you need to formulate it as you go.
Right.
You kind of need to go down these little tunnels. But I feel like everyone kind of let each other just do them.
Yeah.
We were talking about it this morning a little bit in the car, but like, I feel like, and we'll talk more about this in this hour or two, but usually when you go on guide trips, like the natural way to communicate is like be a dick. And like while we still do that and it's fun and it's funny, we were definitely like very kind to one another this weekend.
The whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah.
It was like a sign of maturity. I enjoyed it. While we still want to talk shit to each other, we
Totally.
We're talking
each other out.
to add on to that, like sign of maturity. Trap said it. He's like, I didn't drink for the concert, and I had an absolute blast that entire night. But 2 years ago, a trip like this, we wouldn't have let you not
Yeah.
drink.
Would have been shamed.
Yeah.
We would have figured out a way to get to and from that concert with all of us being absurdly under the influence.
Yeah.
It definitely was not the goal of the.
We didn't pressure. We didn't.
No, I mean, to add to that, like, I mean, I didn't drink all weekend and I didn't get a single moment of like judgment or like shit when like that would not be the case in previous trips or years, which is all fun and games, but still, it's just a sign of respect and maturity and evolving of our friend group and trips we've been going on. I like this. Let's talk. So then let's go into lane 8. Let's talk about that night a little bit.
Obviously, we are diehard fans and have been for a while. And something that was like having seen him multiple times, it was different in the sense that the environment and the venue itself was a lot smaller, which I think we talked about. It created a more intimate experience. Obviously, without the phones, nobody had their phone. You would be around certain people in the crowd and you would like look at each other in the eyes and instantly almost have a connection. Like we're all here for the same reason. And it was such a inviting group that I think we also came in with a lot of cool ass energy.
Mm-hmm.
And like people were feeding off of us and we were feeding off of them. And it was just like gigging out and being weird and doing weird movements. And I think,
Aiden is a legend.
yeah.
Aiden was super cool.
On the phone thing, before we steer away from that, it was the first time I had ever done it. The no phones at a concert, and I know you had brought it
We'll
up.
explain it.
Yeah, so you basically walk in as you're walking into the entrance of the venue, and you go through like the security where they have the scanner thing. You walk through. You put your phone in a pouch. What do they call
Yonder.
the yonder pouch?
I thought it was your joke first.
Yeah.
He said
Yeah.
Yonder.
And it goes in there and it basically locks itself, and you take that with you. But the only way to open it is if you exit the building and you put it on a magnet, and it will open it back up. So you literally could not get access to it. Couldn't pull it out. Couldn't take videos, text anyone, call anyone, see any notifications. All of that stuff just goes away, and you're just fully immersed in the experience. But there was that one guy in the venue who literally ripped open the yonder pouch with force and took out his phone and was taking videos like every once in a while. And I was
It pissed you off.
like, when I saw it, I was like, why would you do that? Like, that's just so dumb. Like, just enjoy the moment. There's one rule and you broke it. Other than that, there was 0 rules.
Yeah.
And he
We
broke,
confirmed.
yeah, and he broke the one rule. But when he did that, I was like thinking, I brought myself out of the moment that we were present in and thinking, okay, where's that video going to go? Who's going to see it? Like, I was thinking futuristic, what's going to happen?
Yeah. Damn.
Totally.
And it just like felt super weird. And then when he put it back away, just back fully immersed
That's interesting.
in the concerts.
Even someone else being out of
Yeah,
present.
totally.
And it sounded like it affected every single one of us.
We were all kind of tripped.
Yeah.
We're like,
Yeah, where it's like,
wow.
Yo, who's
And
this guy?
why?
yeah.
Disrespectful to Laney.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't want to like bring out any bad vibes because we were all just so happy,
Yeah.
having so much fun. But like in my head, I was like, I cannot wait till this guy puts his phone away.
Yeah.
Like,
What did you notice with the first time not having phone about the crowd? Like, what was your experience with the crowd?
it was kind of similar to what Meth said, in that no one was looking down, everyone was looking up, and a lot of eye contact, and you're just more aware of like the people who you were with around you, and just felt like even if you weren't talking to them, you felt way more connected to them. So I thought that was really special. And then just not like worrying about anything else outside of what you were doing in that moment. It was really cool.
It was way more authentic for sure. I actually noticed a couple people a few times would like go into their purse to grab their phone or like their pocket to take a video. and they would realize, "Oh, I can't do it," and they have to like put it away.
Yeah.
It's just funny how that's like, it's such an instinct for us to like, you know, when we go to a cool view or go to a concert, like some of the first thing you do is take a video or take a picture. When like, hopefully this can teach us maybe to first soak it in, take it in, experience it, be there in the moment, and then you can capture it eventually.
Yeah, like I didn't even have my phone in my pocket because it was just too big of the yonder pouch was too big to fit in there. Like it would have been uncomfortable. So I gave it to Ellie and it was in her purse. But I still found myself like just tapping my leg.
Yeah.
Just like see if it was there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the fact that it wasn't there, I didn't have anything full out, but
Yeah.
I'd just be checking, and I found myself doing that. Like halfway through or a quarter of the way through, I didn't do it anymore. But to start off, I was checking for it, which is
I found that his concerts have changed the way that I do other concerts now too, where I almost have this like nagging of like, don't take your phone out.
Yeah.
Like, even though you don't have the guide rails
right.
with the yonder pouch, but I know that I'm going to have more fun if I am not worried about it. But I'll just be like, I'm going to take one video just to be able to, when I'm scrolling through my photos, to come back to it. And then it's gone.
Yeah.
And then it's put back. It's so interesting. Like, when it's like your favorite song.
Yeah.
Like, let me pull my phone.
Yes, you want to re-experience that.
But then you're like not experiencing it to the capacity that you could.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Sorry, I know you're about to say it, but that's a huge thing because I don't have any social media. So one of the main things I do on my phone now is go through my photos and experience the videos and pictures that I take. And so like during that, exactly what you're saying, like especially going to concerts, I'm huge at taking videos. Like I'm taking videos of everything. I hate being that person, but I love going back and experiencing those moments more so than I hate being that person in that moment. So that's why I do it. And a big thing to Lane 8's label, this never happened. It happened, but
It didn't.
no.
That's the thing. I feel like we're afraid to sometimes like we want to make sure that we relive it or capture it so that we don't forget.
Right.
Like I remember after the venue, like all of us talking, all I wanted to do is like jot down all of those little memories or like capture what we did because it was so beautiful. And then, but I think it makes that moment a little bit more special because there is no proof. It's just you and each other, and we're sharing that moment. And that's how it's, I think that's what his vision is. It's like, you don't need to, even though like we all feel that urge to capture the moment and we appreciate the afterthought. But at what point does it also remove you a little bit from that moment, even though you don't want to be that person? It's a hard balance.
Yeah.
Because the experience of watching that video after is epic.
Yeah.
And you get to like re-experience that and feel good again. And like, so it's where is that balance? I don't know.
I don't think there's anything wrong with taking the video. It's just like our first instinct should maybe be more of like present and enjoying this, and then
Yeah.
capture it.
Yeah. And even sometimes just say like, you know what? I'm going to let that be that.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
We should talk about the crowd for a moment. Going back to that, I honestly have never been to a concert where like the crowd was that friendly and open and outgoing and like looking to meet people and just have a great time as a group with random individuals. And speaking of moments, there were so many like little moments that night where we would just like be like, this is a moment, like this is hilarious, or this is awesome.
We look at each other and be like,
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
This is why we're here.
It's like why we do it. Like, yeah, just picking random people up in the crowd, putting them on their shoulders.
We had people on our shoulders randomly.
We had a bar mitzvah. Hubert and I were tossing some lady in the air.
I like wrote in my journal like last night might have been the best night of my life.
There was like some kid with his dad who was like 50 at least, and his first time ever at like a DJ concert. He was like, "This is so sick."
Yeah.
They loved
That was probably one of my favorite two people. There was two groups. There was the kid with his dad, brought his dad to Outside Lands, and they just had the best time ever. And his dad was like, I love this vibe. And now he goes to the concerts with his kid, and this guy's got to be mid-50s.
yes.
And he was like the happiest person. Like
And he was
hands were in the air the whole
dancing and had the biggest smile on his face and just looked like he was having the most fun in the building. And we became friends with them, and they just hung around our group the whole time.
He kept finding us. Like we'll lose them, like come back. Like we're back.
Cool. We had a few people come up at the end of the concert. It was like, your group is special. Like your group made our night better because of your energy, the way you interacted with each other, the way you interacted with people who weren't in your group. People would go get water and bring water just for everybody. Like it was a reminder for me too. Not every concert is that way.
Yeah.
But every concert that I've been with you and you and you, it tends to be that way.
Yeah. It's kind of a lot of pressure sometimes, though, because we'd be, like, so tired and just jumping up and down. And random people would come up to us and be like, come on, guys, like, jump up again. Let's go. Let's go. I'm like, oh, my gosh, I'm burning so many calories.
Yeah. And he would perform for 2.5 hours. So, like, typically you go to a concert in usually hour and a half if it's a solo concert. And so after 2 hours, you're like, all right, like, I've been listening to this guy play his own music for 2 hours. Like, that's a long time. And going 2.5, 3 hours, but he is our favorite artist, so it was pretty easy to continue, but it's still, that's
and for a moment, like,
a workout.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, cool. At the end, he came down and like embraced the fans, like over the fence, like high five, gave people hugs. And so we all like got in line and like gave him a hug, showed him the tattoo. Or like, I was just like, I want to say thank you for the last 5 years of just pure joy. And he just looked at me and was just like, thank you for listening.
I hugged him twice.
Trap hugged him. He was one of the first ones to hug him, and then he
Got back in line.
he went out, got back in line, and gave him a hug.
Well, Meffert was standing there, like, right in front of him, and I was, like, behind Meffert trying to get him to say hi to him, and you were kind of, like, a little nervous almost.
It was just a lot of people, and it was just like I was trying to give people their space, and
That's fair. That's fair.
like if it happens, it happens. I didn't want to force it. And
I give you a little friendly push.
Yeah.
And you gave him
yeah.
And then Timo kind of got burned.
So I went up to him and well, it was originally me and Hubert and Ellie standing kind of removed from the crowd that was going up to say hi to him and hug him. And we saw these two go up and hug him and like right next to him. And me and Hubert were like, all right, we should probably just go over there. So we went over there. Hubert gave him a hug, and then I went up to go give him a hug. And he looks at my Sultan Shepherd shirt, who's another two DJs who are on his label. He's like, "Oh, Sultan Shepherd," and I was like, "Yeah, but like, they were awesome, but I thought your set was better." And he just looked at me. He's like, "It's not a competition, man." And I was like, "Damn." My favorite artist in the world. I just gave him a hug, and now he thinks I'm a dick. This is such a bummer. And we ended on a good note. I was like, dude, I appreciate your label. Like, everything you do is so awesome. And he looked at me and smiled and said thank you. But it was just like that one moment. It's not a competition, man. It's just going to repeat in my head probably forever. But no, it was funny. It was all good vibes. It was great. Hugging him was so cool. And he's just such a genuine human.
He's just so talented, too.
So talented.
For a moment, I mean, we like to DJ. Bless you.
Bless you, Ellie.
I wouldn't say we're like professionals at all, but like we're learning the DJ world more. And I think what makes Lane 8 so good is he's just like knows how to ease into every song. And it kind of just sounds like one big vibe. Like you kind of described this the other day, but takes his time and he does a lot of looping. And he kind of like helps really ease into that next song. And we know the next song. We really want the next song to get going. He knows how to just like slowly get it going.
Yeah, patience.
Why do you think he does that?
I think he enjoys, like he does a lot of looping, but a lot of his songs are, 5-6 minutes. And he enjoys every piece of his song. They're that long and made that way because he has an intention of a meaning to it. And he just lets it, play out the way he made it originally, which is really cool because he was playing, and we were talking about this, he was playing his own music or maybe a couple remixes that he did, but everything was his own work and he wanted to put all that together to give a story out.
It felt like it even at times during those build-ups, like we got to even share moments and talk to each other with that build-up, like in the background, and feel like really, really good.
Yeah.
Here it comes. Yeah, and then all of a sudden we're just like, oh shit.
Yeah. We were all standing probably in like 2 rows, like 3 and 3 or whatever. And then we would all like turn to each other and circle up and just start getting super hyped and jump in, and then everyone
random people are touching our shoulder.
Yeah. And then it just seemed like, I mean, not that we were the center of the crowd, but it just felt it felt that way. And yeah, it was,
I feel like he wants to create a journey for people.
yeah.
And so I've been at other concerts where it's just like drop after drop after drop. And you're just like, there's no break. And so to your point, I think it gives people a chance, especially for 3 hours, like in order to like keep energy high, like on, hour 225, hour 250, you kind of need opportunities to
Yeah, totally.
return.
I think you're right. I feel like he's trying to tell us a message. Like, it's the journey, not the destination.
Present in the journey.
So he's gonna make the journey as long as possible.
There's highs and there's lows. There's ups and there's downs.
And the destination isn't all that, like, the drops aren't all that heavy. Like, it's, I think, intentionally kind of lighter, just to like keep you on that journey. It's like you never really make it.
Stay keeled.
Yeah, dude. Deep.
When you read about like why he does the no phone thing, it's because like he grew up prior to the phone, going to these kinds of things, and after the phone came out, he was like, I remember the story is he was on a plane with his wife and he's like, I don't know why things are different. The shows that I play, but also the ones that I go to, what is different? Ultimately, they came to the conclusion that it was this device. And so he was like, is it crazy that we don't allow those phones? And then that's when the "this never happened" labels started. So I think we feel it, where we're all kind of like, our relationship with our phones has gotten from, social media and I mean, all of those things to being intentional with it. And we're all on our own journey about it. But I feel like we all just like got a reset almost from going to this thing of like, right, okay, the let's use the phone for its tools and also connecting but be cognizant of it.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the first thing I ever heard of when I heard of Lane 8 was the phone thing. Before even any of his songs, it was just like, this is the DJ who doesn't allow phones. Now listen to his music. That was the first thing.
Yeah.
So, whoa. That's cool.
I notice it now when I go to the other concerts in our phones. And you're just like, oh yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. How many
Yeah.
phones are in
People are like trying to find their friends.
Yeah.
I wonder if other artists will start to do that.
I feel like we've been talking, there's seems like our generation or our age group is having a reformation with the relationship to the phones. Like so many people I know have gone off social media or delete it during the week or try to use the brick so that you're not on it during the day. I personally feel when I do go on it that there's a level of stress that just happens. It has nothing to do with things that are actually stress causing in my own life. It's just my own. It changes your thoughts. It's alteration of your inputs into, you're getting fed marketing, you're getting fed things that you don't have, you're getting fed, beauty that you don't have, whatever it is. And it's not that in bite sizes those things are negatives, but if it's all you're consuming, that's a negative. And then two, if you're walking around in the normal day and then you switch to it, you can feel something happening.
Yeah. I think that just goes to show that the fact that you get so much anxiety built up in you when you do look at it goes to show that the perception is not the truth. The way you perceive things instantly is not the truth.
For sure. And this whole weekend, actually, we have not been on our phones.
Yeah.
No, I haven't charged my phone at night, and like my phone hasn't died yet. Just tells me I'm not using it.
But like with the concert too, it just like how much fun everyone had. It's like it's not necessary. Like in that 3-4 hours, it's clearly not necessary to have it, and you have the same, if not twice as much fun during those hours. So
Well, I mean, and then the conversations we've had over the weekend, not even at the concert, or yesterday at breakfast, none of us were on our phones, and the conversation, you feel it when someone has their phone out, even if they're not looking at it. There's a psychological feeling of like you're not fully there.
yeah, you're not
So
invested in
when the phones are fully away or in your pocket or whatever, I think the interactions are better. You connect more. Obviously, we're here on like a bit of a vacation, and we're able to really try and intentionally recharge and disconnect. But I think a lot of people, when they're trying to recharge and disconnect throughout the middle of the day or work day, the first thing is go to my phone, watch TV, do something else, as opposed to whether it's connecting with someone else around you or even just connecting with yourself. People I don't think the phone gets in the way of doing that more often.
Yeah.
For sure. What's even more challenging though, and I think we all are on the same page on what you just shared there, it's like at the same time, the phones are beneficial, like in a lot of ways. Like our generation has had the unique opportunity to be exposed to easy access to various levels of education and podcasts and videos of like information that no generation has ever been able to capture that quickly. So like we've been able to learn so much at such a rapid speed and rate, and that has a lot of benefits to it. So it's like, how do we find the easy medium between disconnecting but also like staying connected to learn?
I think it's what Meth said. It's just being aware of and conscious of your use of it. Because one thing I think about a lot is when people talk about this topic, or I've heard people talk about this topic on podcasts, it being somewhat hypocritical in the fact that we're using technology to create a podcast that we intend for other people to listen to on their phones, which is very interesting, but it's in moderation and being cognizant and using it in the right ways, in the right places at the right times. Obviously, you need your phone to connect to your loved ones, your friends, go through the airport, call your Lyft immediately when you need it.
Yeah.
Emergency.
It's an asset.
But yeah, it's just being aware of when you're using it and doing it in the right way.
Thank you. I think the way that I look at it is because with everything that's like, movement, presence, gratitude, these things that really, I think, amplify other aspects of life, it is impossible to be 100% always moving, always present, always grateful.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Like
That's not the goal.
there's shit that's perfect. Perfect is impossible. But I look at it as like a pie chart. And like, if right now, like 10% or 1/10 of that pie is being intentionally being present, if that goes to 20%, how much does that change? How much does that like impact having lower anxiety levels for that day or increased connection with people that day? And so it's not like I just throw my phone away. I don't care about anything. Time doesn't matter anymore. Like, only thing that matters is what I care about. Like, that's not, it's impossible to live that way too. So it's funny, just like go live in the woods kind of thing. Some people do that. But like for me, it's like, how do I increase that pie chart where more of my day is in a frame of present, grateful, and doing things that are positives. Not that I'm not going to ever veg out on the couch and just scroll on Instagram for 20 minutes because why not? Not that I'm never going to like listen to podcasts anymore or put on music while I'm running.
For sure.
Like all those things bring me joy, and like that's like I'll never say cut all that out. But for me, it's like, how do my time spent? How do I change it so that I'm amplifying other aspects of my life? And I know that more presence and more gratitude and more movement amplifies other aspects of my life.
Right.
What's scary is like socially, I feel like most people, if you talk to them, like recognize that they're on their phone more than they want to be. However, they're like, it's all right, everyone else does it. And I think that maybe what this could be is like hopefully inspiration that there are little habits you can kind of like bake into your day to day where you are sort of the change a little bit. And if you do want to make a difference in how much phone time you have, like whether it's sleeping with your phone in a different room or deleting social media for, a week starting out or during the weekdays or whatever it may be, there's little like the brick. That's an awesome idea. There are ways that we can start to implement habits that limit that usage, even if you like recognize that's an issue and you feel like it's hard to change.
I'm a believer that you have to like engineer your environment, like understanding that you are a weak human in a lot of ways where you are prone to.
We love dopamine.
We love dopamine.
Yeah.
We have, willpower is a fleeting resource on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so, like, how can you engineer your environment? Like, the amount of, like, how do you limit the amount of times that you have to say, no, don't go on your phone? Because eventually you'll be like, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah. Make it easier for yourself.
How do you make it easy? How do you, going back to the book Switch from like 5 years ago, how do you implement change when change is hard? You got to make it as easy as possible.
Discipline is an exhaustible resource. That's what I got from that book.
Yeah.
So make it as easy as possible to have, to say no less.
Do you feel like you get frustrated with the amount of time that you're on your phone?
For sure. There's definitely moments at times. I feel like I've done a decent job at like cutting back, but there's, I'll go through a day. I'm like, damn, I spent way too much time on my phone today. That sucked.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
I actually just had one before getting here. I was totally, I think, wasted a lot of my day, and I was just exhausted, and then I gave in, and then hours went by. It wasn't just a few minutes, it was hours. And then after that, I was just so emotionally depleted, even right before this weekend. And then this recharged me from doing the complete opposite. I think we also have to give ourselves, grace and be like, you know what, we aren't perfect. Like, that happens, but just be aware. And then I'm just looking forward to not doing that for a long time.
You haven't had social media for a couple years now. How has like that impacted your phone usage and just your general happiness? And where do you find maybe like the areas to replace the time that you were spending on social media?
Yeah, I would say the time that I spent on my phone probably has definitely gone down a little bit, but still is for 3-4 hours a day, which is a lot. I think before it was probably like closer to 6. People need their phones to do certain things and like part of their job. And like for my job, I'm on my phone a lot, just communicating with other people, clients and subcontractors and whatnot, calling people. So a lot of that time does get eaten up through those kind of things. And a lot of people's jobs involve them being on their phone a lot. It's just the way that you spend their time or like where that time is spent in certain applications in certain ways. Not having social media has been awesome. I think through COVID, I probably haven't had social media for like 3 years. And through COVID, like a lot of people's time, because you didn't have time to go out and do other things and go out to public places and interact with people, was just spent just like watching things on their phones, whether it was through YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is. So you just get a lot of input of other people's lives without experiencing your own. So it was huge in not having it, because it just reduced a lot of anxiety, comparison to others, and gave me more time to just focus on the things that I like to do and getting better at those things. So that's been huge. But yeah,
It's a good point. It's interesting. It probably impacted the way that you would catch up with friends.
yeah,
It's like typically like a friend would post something and you'd be like, oh, this person went on this trip, versus you wouldn't know. You would call that person and be like,
yeah.
dude, what's up?
Yeah, like I don't really know what's going on with the world most of the time,
Kind of sick though.
which is like scary, and it made me listen to news or like look up things more about what's going on in the general world, because usually I would see that thing or those events just like scrolling through social media. And so I just, yeah, like a lot of the things, like big things and big events or natural disasters or whatever that would happen in the world, I just wouldn't know about them until someone told me like a week later. I'm like, oh shit, that sucks or that's crazy. Like, it
Has that impacted you? Like being late to it?
not really, no. Like it didn't really change like the way I live my life at all, in a negative way, more so in like, if anything, in a positive way. Like I said, I'm just worried about what's going on with myself and my immediate friends. Like you can only keep in touch with so many people. Like you can know a lot of people, but the things that matter are like the true connections that you have with, your immediate friends and your close group of friends. That you can only keep up with some people, like other people that you don't see every day so much.
I feel like with I'm on social media a lot. Like whenever we talk, we call, and then we just talk through everything that we've been through.
There's so much.
And it's so much more. There is a lot to talk about.
Your relationships just get way stronger with the people that you're close with, which is incredibly important. Like you should take advantage of that as much as possible.
They're either connecting through social media or connecting through the phone. It's like both connecting, but I think like the phone call is just way more fulfilling.
Right.
Actually, I think the thing that I've been thinking about, the phone is cheap entertainment. It's very entertaining. You scroll because things are funny. It's curated things that I think are very interesting to you.
Yeah.
Something that's going to keep you there. So it's cheap entertainment, but the true fulfilling things, pushing your body on a run, the learning a new skill, connecting with a friend on the phone, like those are all kind of effortful, or at least way more effort than opening an app. But it's really easy, cheap entertainment, but it's also the most expensive. If we're all going back to like the most valuable thing that we have is like, and so like that's the thing that I've been thinking about. Is like, it's not that I don't enjoy this thing, but the ROI on my time doing this isn't as great as the other thing, but it's just so much easier than calling a friend and feeling like I'm interrupting them or going in their set. Like,
Well said. I think it's back to the perception is not reality too thing that you said earlier. Like we almost feel like we're getting connected. Like we feel like, oh, I know a little bit about a lot of people. I'm connected to so many different people, but like in reality, we're just kind of tricking our brains to feel like we're connected to something or someone when we haven't talked to that person in years or haven't gotten a proper catch up with a good friend. You've just seen his or her recent posts.
Yeah. And you've seen like a small 30-second clip. Like you're not getting
No.
the whole truth. Like if your intention of going on social media is to really see how that person is doing, that's not the way
I
to
think
do
you
it.
have the sickest life ever.
If you see a 30-second clip of them going crazy at a concert and having like an incredible amount of fun,
You're like way too hot.
and then that's just the one thing that you have in your head. You're like, oh, this person is super happy. Or even on the flip side, maybe something bad happened, like a relative died or something like that. You're like, oh, that person must be incredibly depressed. But in reality, it's probably not that way. Like you can't fully understand someone from just seeing something like 30-second clip.
Well, you're not on social media, so you don't post, so people aren't getting those touch points of like what you're up to.
Yeah.
So if someone came up to you and like, I haven't seen anything in a while, like, how's life been? And you
Yeah.
just go like one picture.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
A couple words.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're doing good.
Yeah. Then you walk away. You don't exchange any words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might just
Like
thumbs
it.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a comment.
Yeah.
What's cool, I feel like
Pay for it.
what sometimes what we don't do is when we think of about the person, that we haven't caught up with in a while or whatever, that the instinct should be just send them a text saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. I haven't seen you in a minute. Like, would love to catch up. Get that ball rolling. I feel like I don't do that enough. And
I do that way more now. Like I text random people that I don't talk to as much because I don't see anything that's happening, and I'll just like, hey, like the other day I called my buddy that I went to high school, Evan Miller, and I hadn't talked to him in like a year and a half, and I was like, this used to be my best friend, and I just hadn't talked to him forever. And not saying that like if I saw him on social media, I would know 100% what's going on, but I had to call him. I had like a 45-minute conversation with him.
It's probably epic.
And now I'm going to probably keep in touch with them every 2 weeks I'll reach out to him, text how he's doing. And just little things like that. And I just, how's life going? How's your job going? Or whatever's going on. Just text people more.
I think that becomes the argument that it's being used as a tool. And I think it's that awareness that Ryan and Timo were talking about of how am I using my phone? Because to your job too, like you have to drive.
Yeah.
You can't just not have your phone because that's how you connect and contact with people.
Yeah.
Even though there's like the con that there might be some distractions that come with it.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to everything.
Yeah. And like in general too, like the main reason I deleted social media because I just have an extremely addictive personality to like, for me, the best way to mitigate that is just to delete it entirely. But I mean, for most people, I don't think it is that way. Like they can control that urge a little bit better than I can and use it in moderation. But for me, it's just easier that way. And it doesn't bother me at all to not have it. So that's just the way I deal with it. But for everyone, they have their own ways of dealing with it, obviously, if you need it. But I think the main lesson from all of this is just, use it in moderation to maximize what you're getting out of whatever you're doing in that moment.
I would love to talk here about your guys' tools that you guys have implemented that works. Doesn't mean you're 100% perfect with it, and then I think we'll transition to the big question after that. But the brick, for those who don't know, the brick is essentially
I'm going to grab it.
This is the brick, for those who are watching. It's a little physical device that is a magnet. I put it on my fridge. Other people will put it in their car. But it's essentially a piece of hardware that you can tap the brick app on your phone against the actual brick, and then it locks your phone. You can have different settings as to which apps are actually blocked and which apps are allowed. They have the whole... like Apple has settings where you can set screen time alerts. It's been 30 minutes on Instagram, but you can snooze those or remind me tomorrow or remind me in a minute.
And we all know we've snoozed.
Type in a passcode and get
It never worked. It never works because you're like, I'm in the middle of a video. I'm going to finish it. And then
Yes.
15 more minutes.
Yeah.
But the brick literally just goes, this is a distraction. You cannot get in. And the only way to unbrick is to tap that physical thing again. So when at work, I brick up, I'm bricked all day, really. And I try to have my phone like not in my line of sight because then I still grab it for no reason. And that's what pisses me off is when like I grab it and I click on something and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. And I close the app and I put it down and I grab it again and I look at the same thing. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? So the brick kind of stops that from, it has broken that pattern. Now you can like emergency unbrick if you really need to, but it's enough of a hurdle to where I have to like get up out of my desk, walk over to the fridge to like de-brick, and then to be able to use that thing. That's enough friction for me to be like, I don't need to go on my phone right now.
Right.
And so what it's done for me is, without being like all or nothing mindset, like I can't have Instagram anymore because of Earn Your Couch and because of other little connections with group chats and whatever. Like I just want a strong relationship with Instagram to where I don't feel like it's controlling or it's dictating the way that the things that I'm thinking about. And so oftentimes it's get bricked at like 6:30 in the morning because I don't need to start my day with comparing myself to other people or other inputs. And then I start work and then go through my entire day bricked, work out, and then I come back at like 7:30 or whatever, and I'm cooking and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna check Instagram now while I'm like chefing up and like getting ready to like kind of wind down. And then I generally see that I had like 3 messages from some friends. Someone tagged me in a comment. Someone liked a story.
It's a pretty good day.
It's all group chats. It's not to me.
I'm incredibly inclined to get bricked now.
Dude, getting bricked, it's changed. And it's changed my relationship with Instagram when it's not bricked.
We can get bricked together too.
You can have one brick
Like we can
at your
All
house.
4 of us can be bricked.
Yeah,
I
you
have a
can
brick.
get,
We can get bricked up together.
and so I have like a flow.
I don't need to buy my own brick.
No.
You can use mine.
And it's only,
Okay.
for those listening, it's only $40. There's no subscription. And so
The code you want? No, I'm kidding.
I look at it as $40 to like get your time back. Pretty good. But yeah, I've found that it's changed my relationship outside of the brick. I have 2 settings. I have one that's called flow, which is like pretty restrictive. Anything that's scrolling oriented, you know, ESPN, fantasy football, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, anything that all of a sudden is just like, there goes 20 minutes.
Has an algorithm.
Is blocked. Everything else, Venmo, maps, calculator, camera, photos, messages, FaceTime, all these things that are kind of more like tool oriented are still allowed. And then I have a more lax one where I just have Instagram, like LinkedIn and Twitter blocked. And it's called, that mode is called school night, because like I'm trying to be off on it less like during the week.
Dude, you know, something that y'all keep kind of talking about, I want to double down on. You said it earlier, which was really interesting. It's like, it feels like we're kind of taught to be almost in a race to like be the first to know news, to know updates on your friends, to know like what's going on in the world. And we're also like overly obsessed with like, oh, if I don't have my phone on me, I'm going to miss all these important texts, all these really critical calls and these insane comments on my Instagram post that like, can't miss that. And the fear of missing out, you talked about that. And even you were like, I've learned news like way after other people learn it, and like it doesn't impact you. And so I just think it was a funny moment, even like after lane 8, we didn't have our phone for a couple hours. You get your phone back and like you open up your phone and you have like nothing. You're like,
Disappointing.
but it's like,
But your expectation is like, oh, I'm going to come back to all this stuff.
Important things.
I think, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
The point is like, the point is
Very rarely is it.
we're not that important. Like, it's not like people like need to reach us at all times in every moment. Like, people used to never even have phones. It'd be like, oh, wait till you get home and listen to your home phone voicemail landline, you know? Like, people are like, can't even go for a walk sometimes without their phone. It's like, what if someone calls me? It's like, no one's going to call you.
Yeah, I think
Or
we,
call them back
At least
20
doesn't
minutes.
have to be.
Yeah.
I think we all got out of the concert. We might have looked at our phones for 2 seconds, and then we
Yeah.
put them back away and had one of the most hilarious car rides
Oh, my God.
of all time.
I almost pissed myself driving home. I drove us there and back, and it was just like nonstop laughter on the way home. Jacob was being way too funny. So, but it was awesome.
Any more brick talk that we want to discuss?
Are there any other tools outside of this that you found besides maybe deleting it entirely? I know that I have to like, I'll like grab my phone and like throw it on like the couch behind me so that it's not an arm's length. That's usually very helpful.
I would say one of the greatest habits that have compounded is at night putting your phone away and then winding down the natural way of even dimming the lights a little bit or whatever, because that in itself sets up the whole next day. It allows you to actually like check in with yourself, reflect on the day. So even however you engineer that environment, for me, it's plugging in the phone just across the room or outside of the room, whatever you want to do, and just be intentional with that, because it really, I don't know, it's definitely helped my mental state.
Yeah, AJ, you don't. Yeah, you definitely don't do that.
For reference, Tyler and I share a wall. We're roommates. I do something very similar. I pretty much I have an office that's separate from my room. I'll charge my phone in my office, and then I have a hatch. I don't know if anyone knows what a hatch is. Tyler hates this thing. You hit a button, it just like does a wind down. You can choose the sunset if you want to like have a Fiji sunset or like a Costa Rica sunset. You can pick different types of features, and it can tell you a bedtime story, and then it goes into like after a certain amount of minutes, it goes into like, I do brown noise is what I usually sleep to. Hubert would know. We've slept together the last couple nights. Not like that. And then Tyler
Like that, actually.
yeah, and then it wakes me up in the morning too, like birds chirping in the morning.
Yeah, it even tries to wake him up when he's not there as well, which is super fun.
But no, it's sick. It's like I don't have my phone, and I'm listening to like a wind down sunset, and I'll usually journal, and then I'll like read until I fall asleep. It's the best way to wind down.
I saw a thing the other day. It was like, oh, I'm having trouble falling asleep. Like, let me just open up this little bright screen that has all of the world's information. Yeah. Does it bird chirp? That'll help.
Yeah.
I haven't noticed it as much recently, but maybe I've just gotten used to it. But the bird chirp was probably like the worst. I would just be like, is there like a bird in AJ's room? Like, what's this bird doing in our house? And I would go in there and your bed's just perfectly made. And I remember that you're in New York, and then I just don't know how to turn off your house. And then I just have to leave the house.
Just throw it away.
Like, I'm super glad I paid right here. It's not too bad.
The house is sick.
I
love that.
I think you're jealous.
I think it's really hard. But not going on your phone, like I always feel like naughty now when I'm like watching a YouTube video in bed, because I know it's not helpful for falling asleep. It's not good for my, the restorative nature of the sleep I'm trying to get. It's just gonna make me watch another one.
One's not enough.
I mean, it depends on the video. But that I think is a real habit. When we were coaching executives for how to sleep better, like sleep hygiene is huge. The noise in your room, the amount of light in your room, the amount of light you're putting into your eyes. Like, I think it's a really good habit to like dim the lights that you're around the house, like once it hits like 8:30 p.m. so that you're like naturally like getting more and more tired. But almost everybody's like nightly routine is TV on with their phone, scrolling, because that's not entertaining enough, and this isn't entertaining enough for. Yeah. And then it's like chase. I'm gonna go to bed now. More.
Yeah.
Like, how do you expect to like fall asleep quickly? People are like, "Oh, you fall asleep quick?" It's like, I go to bed.
Yeah.
One super easy, actionable thing that anyone can do is just like turn on the setting where your phone turns off the blue light at a certain time. I don't know if you'll do that, but like at like 9 p.m., the blue light turns off on my phone. You can set that up. It's pretty easy.
And a good old Alexa, wind down. And then that's what we have in our house. And then it turns into this like red light, really dimmed light. And then it totally you feel it. You literally feel yourself. You're like, okay, I'm getting ready for bed. And then I read a book and I get 2 pages in and I'm just, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the light is like taking shots of caffeine like late at night.
Yeah.
Like you're just like,
it makes sense. Biologically, we're just like, it's sunny.
Yeah. Falling asleep like reading is so nice too.
It is.
I love it. I usually get like maybe 2 pages.
Get 2 pages in. And
Yeah. I'm like,
gotta read that again.
Yeah.
Same chapter.
I gotta say, I'm super bad at that, and that's definitely something I need to.
It's fun.
It's just like being on because throughout the day I try not to use my phone for those, like going on YouTube and watching things, because I still have YouTube and it still has the algorithm. So yes, I don't have social media, but I got YouTube.
You're still being watched.
And so like I don't do that throughout the day, but like I'll like go in bed and then I'll just try to get that out of my system and just go on my phone for like a little bit because I'm not doing it at all throughout the day. So I got to be better at that. And I've definitely gotten better over the past couple months on either just not doing it at all or just going on for like 5 minutes.
Leave your phone in my office.
I could, honestly, because I don't need my phone. I don't need my phone for my alarm because my bed's my alarm.
That's so crazy.
I have an 8 sleep, so it just, the way it wakes me up, there's a temperature and there's a vibration alarm on it, and a thermal and a vibration alarm. And 15 minutes before I set my wake up time, say my wake up time is 5 a.m., at 4:45, it will start increasing from like -2 degrees of the room temperature to +6 degrees of the room temperature, and it will slowly warm my body up. And I'm typically like a really warm sleeper, so I initially thought that would be like very uncomfortable and I would like actually start sweating, but I don't. And it's the trippiest thing, but it's just like incredibly calming and gradual when it wakes you up. And then if that doesn't work, I have both of these going at the same time. And my bed also does gradual increasing vibrations, and it will vibrate like my section of the bed. And then to dismiss the alarm, I just tap my bed twice on the side of it, and then I wake up.
Thank you.
That is sick.
It's really cool. And then, yeah, and then there's two. It's got dual control, so like my side can do one thing, and then when Ellie sleeps over, her side can do a different thing, different temperatures. But it's like drastically increased.
Any comments, Alex?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I'm an incredibly warm sleeper, and Ellie is, yeah, she was like born in the Sahara, so she needs the warmth like at all times. It's insane, dude. Yeah. But no, it works out. So potential, I could leave my phone in your room because I don't need it as an alarm.
Born in the Sahara. That should be like its own episode.
The resident chick, Ellie, in the Sahara.
But
Hell yeah. That's I'm adding it to the list
yeah,
of like,
Really expensive.
right. No, it's on the list. It's not on the credit card yet. It's on the list.
no, it's like it is expensive, but it's like a big thing is just investing in. And part of like maturing and growing up is putting your money and investing your money, because you're not spending it, partying or buying drinks or going to concerts as much, is invest your money in things that will improve your well-being and your way of life through health. And sleep is huge, nutrition, fitness, and all of those kind of
Time.
Yeah, your time. It's worth it. So it's like, it's expensive, but it's a good investment.
Yeah.
I like that. Have fun.
I've athletic greens for like my morning greens juice / daily vitamin / whatever.
Mhm.
And I remember debating it. It's like $90 a month, which for subscriptions, it sounds pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it, broke it down, and like, okay, it's $3 a day for my like daily vitamins and whatever. That's not a bad deal.
Yeah.
And then what really pushed me over the edge was I was debating. This was when I was living in San Francisco. I was debating $90 a month for this, for like brain function and gut health and, immune system and yada, yada, yada. I was like, nah, it's too much. And then I like went to the bar and spent like $150. It just felt absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to realign my priorities.
No.
Like I'm willing to spend this money.
It's crazy. Yeah, if you think about it, because like when I moved up to the city, or even before I moved up to the city, Parker and I were living at my mom's in San Jose, and there's nothing to do in San Jose at our age. It's super boring. So we'd always go up to the city, and all of you guys were living up there. And we would go out, and I would spend like $150, $200, $300, sometimes $500 in a weekend. And I would just be like, just because I'd get all that out, because throughout the week or for a couple of weeks, I'd just be at my mom's house. And so I'm just thinking about it like, wow, what if I just didn't do that and then put that money and bought some vitamins or a subscription to, I don't know, something healthy or a bed that costs thousands of dollars. It's like, it's just drastically increasing your health because you're not decreasing it. You're taking that and you're moving it to something positive.
It's the same currency.
Yeah. Same currency.
Yeah, not only are you increasing your health, but you're like taking away the opportunities to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember like when my dad wanted me to get a job in high school, one of his big philosophies is like, when you're working, not only are you making money, but you're also lowering the opportunities to spend money. So, and then you come back and you're tired and you earned it and you're like, I don't want to just spend this on nothing. So similar kind of thought process.
I think it would be fun interesting to talk about some of the conversations that we maybe had this weekend. Either it could be the card ride up, or
I think
the conversation that we had at breakfast yesterday.
I think maturing, to your point on like maturing and like how we're spending our money, I've noticed a real shift in also like how we're spending our time with people, as well as with ourselves. Time becomes a much more valuable resource. Like, we used to live in the same city and we could see each other on a Friday night every time, and now those times between seeing each other, we were talking about it, I don't know the next time I'm actually going to see you. You have to carve that out. And so when the times that we are together, it's very cool to see how it's transformed from the 1 year out of college where we'd see each other and just go balls to the wall to 5 years out. Obviously, there's going to be natural changes, but just our approach to our friendships has evolved with appreciation for that other human being, what they bring to your life, the amount of joy and fulfillment that we get when we are together. And I'm curious on your guys' like mindset towards friendships, especially as guys, men who traditionally are competitive, traditionally who are, the way we communicate is being assholes to each other, making fun of one another. Traditionally, you drink, you talk sports, you do whatever, and it's transformed so much, especially in the last year. I think we've had intentional conversations in the hot tub, on that walk in San Francisco all the time, to where we're like, we're going to be there for each other because we intentionally like try and show up for each other. There's an effort in it, but it's so rewarding. And it's so nice to know that you create an environment for each other to feel heard, to feel understood, to share the shit that you're going through. And so I guess I'm just kind of curious, like, how your guys' take on all that.
I think with the environment that we were in college and in general, like needing to be a certain type of, have those characteristics, I think if you throw those out the windows, what the social norm is, I think what the biggest difference has been, I actually really care about this other human being, and I authentically want to know how you're doing and support, and not be this facade that you think you need to be all macho and to be in order to be liked, in order to not feel like you're not part of the group, because we grew up kind of all those norms that you talked about. And then realizing that every time, I ask about like, how are you doing? Or I ask even a follow-up question, and I really just listen. That makes me feel way better. Not like selfishly. I'm not doing it selfishly. I genuinely want to now like understand what you're going through, and
Makes me feel a lot better. So, yeah.
I think you just need to get over the hump of like, you don't need to be some type of way. You can just actually ask, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And really care.
It's a ripple effect. And I don't remember where I heard this, but the biggest gift that you can give to yourself is investing your time in other people, because by investing your time in other people, they'll realize like, wow, this person actually cares about like what I have to say. And so I'm going to take that energy and I'm going to give it right back to them. And then I'm going to spread it to these other people, because I've learned from that person that if he pays attention to me, I'm going to pay attention to him. It's probably going to happen to all these other people. And it's a ripple effect, and it compounds on itself. But, yeah, it's like really paying attention and like looking people in the eyes and taking what they have to say in. It comes right back at you. Like they'll just do the exact same thing right back at you.
I totally agree with everything you're saying. One of the biggest pieces of advice my dad always shares, like, as you get older, one of the most important things you can do as like an adult male, sure female too, but is to like have really good guy friends, like a real guy friends. And it becomes harder, like you get more responsibilities, you get married, you start having kids, your family, whatnot, like just continuing to invest in the people that you're closest with is so important outside of your family, to be able to have them hold you accountable, to actually like listen and root you on, which is another big piece too, is like, we talked about this in the hot tub in La Quinta, but what I've noticed is like your friends who, when good things happen to you, like congratulate you and like root you on and like go out of their way to like, you know, build you up, like those are real friends. You know, it's not like a competitive thing, right? Naturally, as males, to your point, like typically it is competitive, right? So, I mean, think about the last time you get a compliment from one of your guy friends, like that goes a long way because it's rare and you know that person means it, especially if they're like really close with you. Like I remember when we kind of went around and just gave each other like, this is what I appreciate about you statements, and like we'll never forget that night. It had such a big impact on me, and I'm sure with you guys too.
Yeah.
Um,
And that stemmed from you being like curious and vulnerable of like, why do we appreciate hanging out with each other? And then formulate that. Like, you actually don't really tend to think about it, or you just feel it. But then when we actually talk about it, and that's what the conversation just the other day over there, that all stemmed from like, what are you grateful for? And then all of a sudden we're talking about the deepest shit ever, and we're learning stuff about one another's lifetime and trauma and support, and you're just like, wow, that is.
And the coolest thing from our hot tub chat is like after that, we had that experience, we challenged each other to go do that to someone else that we care about. I remember for me, at least, I sat down with one of my mentors. He's one of my dad's good buddies, and like just was vulnerable about like, and open for the first time after years and years of working with him of like why I appreciated him. And then he was just like, he was taken back. He was like almost emotional. And then he shared the same thing to me, which I didn't even expect that. And I was taken back, and I was like, wow. And then for the first time, we like said the words like, I love you, man, for the first time in years. Stemmed from that environment and conversation. Now, I mean, we don't say it every time, but like we've said it now a couple more times. It's just like, sometimes you gotta just tell someone you love them and why you love them, especially a guy friend, because it's rare and it goes a really, really long way.
And a lesson we learned was not just say, hey, like, you're a good man or whatever. Also add the why.
Yeah.
Because that gives the context that you yourself, like when you hear like, oh, I love you, man, like, you know, it still feels good. But then when you give the context, that actually is like, that resonates with you and your why and your actions, your everything that you work towards and how you show up on a daily basis. Then it all clicks, and that's when you get like resounding change or impact and fulfillment from yourself.
It's not easy though.
No.
It's not easy to do.
No.
It's a little bit odd. It's like exercising, right? Like when you start out, it's like,
Yeah.
what is this thing?
Yeah.
The more you do it, the better it is.
I think one of my favorite conversations from the weekend, and I think it got the most deep and the most experiences that we talked about from our past life, but when we were younger, when we were having breakfast and we were asked the question of like, where did the gratitude that we feel and that we always talk about and that you guys always talk about in the podcast and you try to, practice every day, like why do we feel that gratitude and where did it come from in our lives? And I thought that was a really cool topic because it brought up a lot of our traumas and like the negatives that happened in our lives. And it was interesting to kind of flip that and say, hey, and I think Trap might have said this, is all these shitty experiences, or at the time felt shitty, were able to make us realize that we should be grateful, and the reason we feel gratitude is because we had to go through these things, and kind of taking something negative and difficult to turn it on something positive, and now we kind of live our lives by that, feeling grateful. So I thought that was a really cool conversation that we had.
And all of us never made that connection.
Yeah.
Like, we all didn't, because we never like went down that path and then realized, oh my gosh, where my deepest pain comes from, my deepest fulfillment and gratitude comes from.
Yeah.
Like, because we were talking about some
How thankful to be.
Yeah.
we're talking about some heavy shit, and I was like, how did we get here? While you guys were talking, and I was like, whoa, this is from asking the question, yeah, like, where did you become grateful? And the fact that like some of the most challenging experiences that we ever went through in our entire lives were some of the answers to those questions.
Yeah.
Like that really, really tough time that I went through is actually one of the biggest reasons why I'm grateful today.
Why do you think it takes the shit.
Sometimes it takes almost losing something to realize how important it is to you.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And like when someone that you love or someone that you know, one of your friends, or a grandpa or grandparent, like when that person passes and dies, your mourning after that happens and your sadness is an expression of how much you love that person. And that really comes out after you lose that thing. And that's a very intense example, but you realize that. And I think a lot of us realize that when we were younger, almost losing that one thing or losing it makes you, after that happens, you're like, holy shit, I needed that in my life. Like that was a really important part of my life. And I think to your point, it takes losing something to realize how much you actually needed it and how much it meant to you.
In a lot of ways, it just gives you perspective on, you can be the victim, or I don't know what the other one is, or you can be the what you practice. And the other side, you see the positive from the pain, the suffering that then you get to now show up with on a daily basis and move forward in your life. Ideally also holding space for your homie who might be going through something similar, and then just being able to be there and support and that's the gift that was given to you by experiencing that shitty thing. Just that perspective of, you're like, wow, that must be really hard. How can I be here for you? Do you just need to talk it through? And usually you get to be a better version of yourself moving forward because of that.
Yeah.
Which it makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense. It's like, it's complex.
I said this on my podcast when I did it with you when I came on as a guest, and it was that pain isn't real. And I think that is really hard to comprehend, but you can twist it in saying that you can control the amount of pain or the role that pain plays in your life. And you can take in an experience, no matter how shitty it is or how good it is, but you can take a step back, remove yourself from your thoughts, examine it, and you can twist it and manipulate it to be something positive and something to grow off of.
And manipulative usually has a negative connotation, which I don't think in this case, it's not. It's not negative. It's you're still aware, you're still feeling that pain, yet you're also like, it's totally okay to feel that.
That thing happened. You can look at it through this like window. I think at times it's important to like stay in that window, to feel anger, feel sad, to like, and like if someone else that comes up to you and be like, dude, just look at this other window.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, I need to make sure I really look at it. I need to remain here for a second. And then an empathetic person is like, totally get it. Like, observe as long as you need, but know that there's a window over here that there's no rain coming down on the side.
Yeah.
Sitting on that
lens.
Like what people want sometimes in like an empathetic person, just like that person just sit there in that sadness with them. And I'm pretty optimistic, like, well, there's this, there's that, it's okay. Like, that's not, I mean, sometimes you need to just like let the person be there and be there with them.
Yeah.
I'm working on that. Not very good at it.
Can I provide a lesson that I've been learning?
Please.
So through this journey of really trying to learn empathy, I felt like I'm an empathetic person, but how do I really be empathetic? Because it's very easy to default to problems. It's going to be okay. We'll solve this. So it'll be like, actually, I have steps 1, 2, and 3 laid out in my head, third party of what needs to happen. I started, conversations I used to look at as this one thing. It's a conversation between two people. Now I start to look at it as like, what's the goal of a conversation? Not that everything is like transactional, but like if my goal is to help them feel better, I know that offering a solution immediately actually isn't going to help the problem. And so if my goal ultimately is to help them, then the first thing that needs to happen is that they need to feel completely empathized with and understood. The best feeling in the world is to be understood, to feel heard, to feel seen, to understand that the problem that they're experiencing or the challenge that they're trying to overcome is a challenge, is hard, is difficult. They're not crazy or less because they're feeling one way or another.
It's part of being human.
Part of being human, and to like let them, and to just, in the sauna the other day, I was explaining a story that was kind of sad, and the girl looked at me and it was just like, that's really sad. And like, it was like, I felt just straight to my soul.
Yeah, it's okay.
Like you saw me.
Like you're allowed to cry. Like you actually, matter of fact, should. Getting emotional is an important part of it.
I feel like I learned how to cry in 2024. Like I've cried like maybe like 8 times in the last like 10 years, and 6 of them were last year.
Yeah.
Dude, I've recently started learning how to cry too. It's hard, kind of crazy.
It's really hard to like let yourself feel
Yeah.
be okay with, but it works.
Yeah.
My sister's like, oh, isn't that the best?
Yeah.
Like she loves crying.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Dude. I mean, everything in life's a sales cycle, so I get that.
Yeah. But to your point too, it's like you have your solution that you're selling. If they're no, you have your solution that you're selling. And if you hop on the initial call and someone's like, and you're like, oh, no worries. Like, don't even worry about it. Like, I actually can solve all your problems.
No.
You're most likely not going to get the sale.
Yeah.
But if you're like sitting there and be like, yeah, that's actually super challenging. Like, I can't imagine what that's like, how does that make you feel, blah, blah. All of a sudden, like, they have an opportunity to really feel like you give a fuck. And then when it's time to then offer the solution that you've had since the very beginning, or an altered solution because you now have more information on actually what they're feeling, what they're going through, and what actually needs to be solved, then you're actually providing a tailored solution to someone who's ready for a solution, as opposed to just giving them a solution when they actually aren't ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I sign? And before we move on from what we were just talking about, I just wanted to like quickly share a takeaway that I think for all of us is, I mean, obviously there are some incredibly traumatic experiences that people go through that none of us ever have, and you know, empathize for that. At the same time, like, seems like no matter how challenging or tough or shitty the situation is or experience you're going through, like, it's when, not if, these things do happen. Eventually, however much time it needs to pass, but time will heal that. Time will heal that. And I'll be able to look back and find silver linings from that experience is a belief that I have and a takeaway, I think, from this conversation.
I think time heals, but I think true healing requires some level of reflection, which is why I think therapy is great for people. I don't do it. I think you can find ways to have therapizing friends, and you can have therapy with journaling and whatever, but like there's some level of reflection. Otherwise, if it's what I do and have done and what I'm working on is a thing happens that is emotionally difficult that I don't register as emotionally difficult because I go to solutions, I go to like everything's gonna work out, and then all of a sudden this thing that like actually sucked, like I never really thought about or worked through. And so I don't think ignoring things that are difficult and time just will solve it, but understanding that in time your feelings will improve, your emotions will ideally get better. But if you're not willing to get vulnerable either with yourself or with someone that you trust to talk about it, then that can like lead to fears and limiting beliefs and other things.
So you're saying time heals because over the course of time, you'll be able to utilize tools and certain things of
And reflect.
being able to reflect to overcome.
I think if you like look at it like a cut, like over time, like you'll naturally just heal, but like also like if you don't put like antibiotics on it, like it could get infected,
And get worse. Yeah.
even though like it covers up.
Whoa, you guys are fucking smart. I agree.
I just gotta fucking think through analogies these days.
You just sit in your room. This is a good analogy for the situation.
Dude, it was just like when I was talking to you on Thursday about, you know, brain switching tasks over and over. Like you can either drive on a highway and get like maximum miles per gallon because you're like, we're going on one thing, we're going on one mission, we're driving forward on one task. But if you're driving in the city and you're always switching directions and stopping and going and moving this around, like you're less efficient. It makes way too much sense, dude.
Holy cow, dude.
That's great.
One tiny little tangent for the being empathetic, the framework, the 3 H's of when somebody's opening up to you or is going through something, do you want to be held, helped, or heard? Usually gives you a good, like, do you just want to be kind of supported through touch, or do you want to just vent, or do we want to figure this out and me provide you some solutions? So just held, helped, or heard allows you to just kind of think like, wait, this might be a different conversation, and my instinct is always to help because it's just that I think generally that's what the instinct is. And then for me, that's helped me just check myself. Oh wait, maybe I just need to shut up right now and just listen.
Is that a question that you're asking?
Yes, you can. You can.
Actually asking that question.
I've done that with Andrea, and that has saved me so much of just going down. Like, you want to just be helped or like heard.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you tell me you want to be held so I can think
Yes.
of Nelson.
Usually it's either heard or helped, not really held, but it's heard more frequently than you think. Shush it.
And just listen.
Just listen.
I like giving that context now too. Like I'll go be like, right, I'm like, I just need you to listen. Don't solve my problem. I just want to
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah.
And that helps so much because then I can actually listen and be like, okay. Yeah. Let it out.
And then also as the listener being like, I've heard a lot of things here. Can I synthesize it? And then if you're looking for a solution, like I have an idea, just giving them the willpower to say like, yes, I want it,
Right.
as opposed to just forcing it almost.
Right.
Yeah, like,
Oh, here's what I think you should do.
dude, that's actually great.
Fuck off.
Like, actually, and this is with anyone, like asking before you respond, like, are you open to advice or no? And either way is okay.
Can I offer some feedback?
Or no, then that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not like everyone's like, you know what, this is what you should do. It's like, I talked to you for 30 seconds at a bar,
Yeah.
and it's loud in here. Like, you don't know what I should do.
On the flip side to that too, like for people that you know very well, sometimes you can just you know what they want. And so for me, like when I talk to Ellie about some things, I just know that she wants to be heard a lot of the time. Like when she has an issue, whether it was like family related or through work or whatever it is, like most of the time it's just she just wants to be heard and she just wants to tell me how it is. And a lot of the times I don't even need to say anything. Like she just talks through it. And that's like been something that I've had to work on for myself because I feel like I'd like to talk over people sometimes. And like I do that. I like figured out I did that a lot to Ellie consciously, and I became aware of that. And I was like, shit, maybe I should just shut the hell up and just like let her say what she wants to say. Like she's coming to me to say this thing for a reason. She doesn't want me to talk over. So I just like, I know that now. So a lot of the times, and I still interrupt her sometimes, but I'll just listen, let her get her 2 cents out. And then after she's done talking, like literally done talking, has nothing else to say, then I'll provide input.
Same thing with that pie chart. Like you're not going to be 100% never interrupting of someone else.
Yeah.
There's going to be times when you just like react or whatever. But like if you can increase the percentage of your conversations where you're aware of the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And this, once again, it's not to be transactional. I genuinely want to connect with someone and I genuinely want to collaborate if they're going through something and help them solve it. And the method to do that is usually not solving the problem with the first thing that comes to your mind.
Right.
It's to understand them and it's to hear them out and to really feel what they're feeling, because we're guessing. And when people are talking, we're often guessing what they're gonna say next, and it's really hard. It's so hard not to like assume what's coming next and start thinking about your response.
Yeah.
But it's also one of the most, for going back to the guy friends, I think a lot of girlfriends and women in your life are good at listening. And if the best feeling in the world is to feel heard and to feel seen, that's a lot of reasons why girls have that power on guys, but guys can also give that to other guys.
Mm-hmm.
But their reaction is usually like banter back and forth, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Good conversations are usually an ebb and flow between 70% one person talking, 30% the other person talking. And then it switches back and forth because both people need to be heard and seen.
Be the observer.
Jill and I do the same thing because I often at the beginning would just try and offer a solution. So it's now like, before we go and vent or before we need a solution or if we're upset, it's I just need you to listen or hear me out and let me know what you think. And I think one of the biggest game changers for having an actual productive conversation where you actually are listening, because it's really hard to do it when you're in a environment where there's a lot of distractions. It's called like the walk and talk. And so like Jill and I will just be like, let's go walk and talk. And so we just start walking, we go on a walk and we talk. And every time we go do that, we come back with just this sense of relief, understanding, like we know we are set on a frame of mind with a solution, or you just have this relief of, I was just able to vent. I feel much better. We're going to have a much better evening or much better day now. But it's the walk and talk versus sitting in your living room and talking, because the TV's right there. The The phone's right there. When you're walking, you're not on your phone. And so you're just able to be fully present and listen and come to a solution. And I think that's something that has been really productive for us.
That's funny. I was recently home in Los Gatos, and my parents are doing this new thing now where every morning they share coffee. They like, we'll go for a walk usually, but like when it's really cold, they stay inside. And they kind of do something kind of similar to what you're saying. But at the end, like after they were done with their discussion, I was like walking around the kitchen. My mom just gets up and she's like, "All right, we're done here. We're all caught up. Cool. Like we can move forward. Like we got it." It's like, what just happened?
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know.
But I feel like that's an example too of like carving out time to have those conversations that need to be had.
Yeah.
Like it's also like a respect thing for like for your partner or for someone in your life, whether it's a roommate or whatever, to not just to be aware of like what's going on in their life, and like your time to dump might not be when they're ready to listen. And also if it's like a healthy relationship that it's like, hey, like I have some shit that I want to get off my chest. Like, do you have 30 minutes to have like full attention? If not, can we like talk about it later? I feel like for like, you know, mom and dad, married, like it's like, hey, we have shit going on. We got a lot of stuff to do, but like every morning we're going to make sure we're on the same page and carve that time out. And it's like, that's just the expectation that when things are on our mind, it's like I have that time to bring things up. And I don't need to be like, hey, man, or husband, or hey, wife, can we talk about this right now? And it's like, no, I have this, and that going on.
Yeah.
I need to go for a run. I need to come back. I need to do that.
Totally. And they now both work together, like in the same business too. So it's like they see each other all the time. So it's just like carving that time to be like husband and wife versus like coworkers. Seems like it's been critical for them.
There's also multiple ways to do that same thing, and I don't know where I heard this, but never go to bed being upset or angry. The way I heard it was with your partner, your loved one, your spouse, or whatever it is. But you can, make that more broader, and it could be to your friends or whoever. But the best way to attack that is just to never go to bed angry. Talk with that person, work through that issue, and, say, hey, tomorrow we're going to wake up and, we're going to move on with this. Not saying forget about that issue, but talk through it. And figure that out, because
Listen to each other.
Because when you wake up in the morning, it's a new day. Start a new day.
There's like a quote, it's like unspoken feedback or unspoken things that are like left unspoken.
Mm-hmm.
It's just premeditated resentment.
Yeah.
Sure. And I'm sure we can all feel it with relationships in our past.
Yeah.
Or friendships or things at work where you just like bottle it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, like anything that person does, you're just like,
Oh yeah.
you're annoyed.
Yeah.
2 months ago you did this and that, and like,
But all of a sudden it explodes. Like,
that was so long ago.
sorry.
Thing I want to say to how to listen actually as well is you need to check your ego as well and think what they're saying or what they're feeling is not valid because you think about it in this way, or you can see it in this way, that it's just as true, more true, that you validate what they're feeling as well. And like, those are ultimately just thoughts in your head that you're having because you had your experiences, but they're completely different human, and what they need is different. So even quieting the mind when you're listening is a difficult task, that showing up for that person and being like, that's been one of the most helpful things with my relationship with Andrea, is when she's talking, I tell my fucking ego to shut up and get out of the way and listen from her perspective, not from mine. Because who am I to say and think, yeah, we've been together for almost 7 years, but she's her own human, and I want to learn her truth, not what I'm perceiving of it. And the only way to do that is through acknowledging that your ego or your thoughts are present, and then just be like, okay, well,
Shut up.
and take what they're saying and synthesize what they're saying from their perspective. And that is just a challenging thing to do.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like seeking to understand, just assuming that you don't know everything is a skill.
Assuming you know nothing.
It feels wrong because you don't want to be like, oh, I don't know anything, but
I'm not a big person to go to therapy.
Really? Yeah.
No, you're huge. You're huge, dude.
That'll do.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, stop.
I'm not a big therapy person, but I imagine like really big part about going to a therapist because they are going into whatever your thoughts are and your experiences are with no understanding of what you went through. They didn't go through that with you. Like they're just listening to what you're saying.
We're judged.
There's taking it in. There's no judgment.
No judgment.
And
That's true. They're a stranger, but they're really good at.
Yeah.
one stranger
Yeah.
is going to take what you have, try to understand it, and use their tools to help you.
I go to therapy every 2 weeks, and it takes a little bit of time to like really sink that in, because you're like, if I share that, like this person might judge me, but like eventually you just get to the point where you're like, fuck it, like I'm gonna say everything, just like, cause that's what it's for.
Right.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What's like a major takeaway or like tool that you've taken from therapy?
Well, I think part of it has to do with Meffert's interview, where he talked about how when you can like take away the emotions from the situation that you're in and just like observe, and that requires you to talk about it. There's a lot of things that we keep internally in our heads, but once you're able to say the things that you're working on or the decisions you have to make out loud to somebody, and they're just listening to you and they're like asking good questions, like you can just make way better decisions. You're like, oh, it's clear. This is what I need to do.
But you're still coming to those conclusions yourself.
Exactly. That's still from inside of me. That person's not telling me what to do. The person's just listening and asking you questions. And you can make way better decisions in life. Like my trip, I'm moving to New York, that like was solidified in therapy.
Oh.
And that he didn't tell me to do it. I just realized it's 100% what I need to do.
That's cool.
So I'm gone in June.
Later.
Don't worry about my hatch anymore forever.
I think this is what I was telling you about last night with journaling.
Ellie's over there now.
Ellie's to the left.
Yeah, you can't see it.
Alex, you have any this
She
year?
sit in front of the fire, ready to go.
Chilling way too hard.
Yeah, this weekend's been way too chill. But I was telling her last night, I was like, yeah, cool. I don't know if you feel this way, but because I know therapy has been really helpful for you. But do you feel like journaling is like a way to like self-therapize, if that's a word? Because I've found that in therapy, not only do you have tools and someone helping guide, but essentially you're venting and you're working through things slower than just thinking about your anxieties. Someone's asking you why you're feeling about that way, or how did that, what does that mean to you, or how did that impact you? And journaling can kind of give yourself an outlet to do that for yourself when you maybe only have every 2 weeks to go to your therapist, or you have once a week, or it's expensive so you can't afford it. Like journaling can kind of give you a daily opportunity to vent to yourself, but also slow down your thoughts enough to where you have taking logically structure all of the craziness that's going on in your head. Just because like I think naturally when we're reading and writing, like things need to make sense.
You can only write so fast.
Yeah.
I write so fast.
I've been vlogging recently to myself. It's kind of a weird thing.
I love it.
Like sometimes I just have so many thoughts and I don't want to write it all down. I just want to just talk to myself.
Voice memos are great for it.
Yeah.
Brad, you did ask Coleman. I want to hear his thoughts.
I think I agree with everything you said, Jake. It is essentially like having therapy with yourself. But what I've kind of come to the conclusion of with journaling over the past year, since we've been doing 75 Hard, is you're able to take a snapshot of your emotions and how you're feeling about a specific thing in that certain time or moment, when in reality, if you're not journaling, the emotions and the thoughts that you're having, they kind of they come to you and go away, and you never take account like why you're actually feeling that way. And it's like good thoughts and bad thoughts, right? So I've been journaling when I've been feeling really fulfilled and stoked about a fantastic day. And I explain why. Like I explain why I was so stoked that I was able to go on a 9-mile run and go to the gym in the same day, but also be able to go out and enjoy a NHL hockey game. This was yesterday. I'm like, that's awesome that I got to be able to do that. And I explained why. It's because not a lot of people can have the opportunity to do that. I'm happy that I'm prioritizing my health. I'm happy that I'm prioritizing a relationship, but I'm also happy that I'm choosing to go be social and go out and experience new things. If I wasn't journaling about that specific happy emotion, that's just something you experience that day and then it goes away after that day. But you can go back and reflect with all these different journals that you've had. Same with like gratitude, like the pieces of gratitude I've been writing down every day. Going back and reflecting a month ago what I was writing down, like, oh yeah, I still feel really happy about that. Or, oh wow, that's kind of interesting. I was grateful for that in that moment. Now I feel this way. So I think it's a way of having a therapist from your own thoughts, but it's really capturing those moments, kind of like taking a photo while you're at a concert or a video while you're at a concert, taking those moments of how you're internally feeling about a certain thing with those thoughts. I don't think it solves anything. Like if you have trauma, you should go see a therapist to be able to like dive deeper into it. But on a daily basis, when you're feeling maybe negative or when you're feeling happy, you can increase that positivity by writing it down and reflecting on it again. Or you can decrease the negativity by reflecting why you feel that certain way.
Yes.
Ellie.
Yes. Ellie, come here.
A question from the audience.
Here comes the audience.
Have Elliot just sit on the couch.
She's coming.
Audience, squeeze on in. You heard it from the audience. You heard it.
One.
Hi, Elliot. Welcome to the couch.
I have a question for you guys. You are all so committed to growth, personal growth, and I find it interesting that only one of you has tried therapy. When it's, you have all these tools, and therapy really is just a tool. Like there's journaling, but I'm just curious if there's like a reason why you guys haven't tried it, or if it's you just haven't gotten there yet, perhaps.
Good question.
It's $25 after my insurance.
I've tried BetterHelp.
Mm-hmm.
This is not brought to you by BetterHelp. And I didn't like the virtual experience. I also found that there were other things that I could do for myself first. Now, I've heard the concept of like you should start going to therapy before you need a therapist. I also feel that I'm gaining a lot of skills that people will be like, you must go to therapy. No, I'm just kind of like diving in, learning about these things. I'm always kind of a therapist. So I haven't felt that the things that I'm trying to solve have needed that level of commitment. It's part of it's like the finding the right one and like when are they available, and then that means like doing it like in the middle of a work day, and like how expensive would it be. Like there's like kind of obstacles that I've found. Journaling, exercise, getting better sleep has helped with my own mental health first and foremost. But it is something that I kind of, same thing with the journaling, where I was like, I want to do this not when I'm just feeling shitty, but when I'm positive, because what I just wrote down was journaling amplifies the positive and accelerates time to solutions. So it decreases the time of chaos in your brain. So it amplifies the positive and it decreases the time of the negative. So if you can do that on a daily basis, I think you're going to get a lot of positive benefits. But I think that's why it's just kind of it crossed my brain a lot. But there's a lot of things that people can do for themselves. I've shown that the things that I do for myself right now are helping and working.
I went to therapy once, and it was at like a very low point in my life. And I think the reason I didn't continue, because I just didn't have the right therapist. I think the biggest part about getting the most out of therapy is having the right person to talk to. And I just didn't. The therapist that I had is an incredibly good person. There's nothing wrong with him. It's just I wasn't able to get the benefits that I was looking for out of it, that I wanted from him. So, and that kind of deterred me away from probably going to therapy or trying someone else. But I do know that is a process, and finding the right person, the first person that you go to probably isn't going to be the right one. Sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 different therapists to find the right person. And yeah, since then I just haven't tried it again.
I think what's cool about literally right now is you asking that question is probably going to have a pretty strong domino effect, because, the reasons that came up just now in my head, they're just stories that I've told myself.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you asking that. And that first domino just sort of went over, and I need help also finding. I don't know what that process is like. So I would love to also get some support.
Yeah.
Nice.
On that.
It took me 4 therapists
There you go.
to find mine. So yeah, to your point. But yeah, I mean, to your point, like all the things you guys just said, I mean, if you really want it, like those are things that you can overcome very easily.
Yeah.
But if you don't really want it, that's totally fine too.
Yeah.
I think it also feels daunting because you're involving a stranger in your life. And like when I started therapy, I did it every week for a couple months, and then I was like, okay, I don't need this much therapy. Like then I did every 2 weeks, and then I did it once a month, and then every other month. And then this past session, she was like, do you want to just like call me when you want to talk, or like set a time? So it could be 6 months from now, it could be next week if I wanted to set up a session.
Oh, cool.
And I feel like that's what is going to really work for me, is also don't feel like I need it all the time, but it's also nice to know that I have that tool in my tool belt, that resource.
How do you best use that tool? Like, what do you get out of it?
I come in with a list of things that I want to talk about. And it's not usually like, oh, I have this problem, this problem, this problem in my life. It's, since I last saw you, these are things that have happened in my life. And I kind of just tell her. I just like be like, I went on this trip with my family, or I did this thing at work. And then she kind of asks follow-up questions about that.
So you get the support from her. It's like you maybe don't know the answer of what you need, and you just kind of like, this is what my life is experiencing.
Exactly.
And then you let her work her.
Exactly. And sometimes it will be like, how do I approach this situation? Or like, what do you think, you know, the reason for this was? Like, sometimes I have questions, but a lot of times it's just, this is what's going on in my life. Like, let's talk about it. And then we usually end every session with her asking me like, okay, so what's coming up for you? Like, what's on the calendar? What are you doing this weekend? And then what are your intentions for those things? How do you want to show up for those things? Especially if there's something that's really stressing me out. Like, as an example, like maybe the first time I met like Tyler's parents, for example, I was like, okay, I'm going to like meet the family this weekend. And she's like, okay, how do you want to show up? What are your intentions for that? And it really made me think like, okay, well, I just want to be myself. I want to be kind. I want to.
Gotta be funny.
Good
haircut.
Tell a good joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I can make Colin laugh, I've won, you know. Of course, obviously. So that's a really good like grounding moment, I think, at the end of a session, is figuring out my intentions. And it's a good question to ask yourself. Anything that's like coming up, like, what are my intentions for this weekend, for example? How do I want to show up? How would the best version of myself show up?
I think an incredibly big deterrent from going to therapy is people think that you would go into it looking for this big answer to all your life's problems, and kind of just going off of what you're saying is you're not looking for a big answer. Like, all you're looking for is to go into the session with what's going on in your life, and hopefully this person can help talk through, give advice, or just listen to how my life is going, and that will benefit, you know, that next week or 2 weeks, and I'll slowly learn and grow and, you know, pick up tools along the way to improve.
I think that's something that I would benefit greatly from. Is you don't go to therapy because I haven't gone to therapy because I'm like pretty good, but I think to your point of, or I guess in self, you know, awareness, I'm not great at recognizing the things that I'm feeling. It's something that I have to I've actively worked on in the past year, but I have to actively remind myself. Journaling is something that helps me do that. But I think a third party would have like a, well, that sounds like pretty difficult. You know, it's not that difficult. Like, work's just like chaos. Like, of course, like, yeah, but you're dealing with this, and that outside of it. It's like, I don't know, yeah, I didn't really realize this. Kind of hard. You know, like, ask and then hide, like maybe like shining like the spotlight on things that are blind spots to me.
Yeah, my therapist really helped me realize what are the stressors in my life, and it's not what you would think. Like, she's always like, so how's your family? I'm like, oh, they're good. That's like not an issue for me. Or like, she's like, how's work? I'm like, oh, everything's fine. Like, there's always other things that you wouldn't think. Like, she does like really show my priorities almost. I like that idea of like shining a spotlight. That's absolutely what she does, and it helps me recognize that.
That's exactly what I did with my therapist. Like, I sat down with him and was like, look, I'm not ignorant to the fact that like there are people that, you know, are looking for maybe an answer, like certain situations they're in. Like, overall, like, I'm pretty grateful for my life. Like, I have a lot of things are going really well overall. I just want to find an opportunity to be proactive in the way I think about decisions or experiences that I go through to ensure that I'm like holding myself accountable to the person I am deep down. And so we did an exercise where, okay, let's figure out who we are deep down. And I like picked like 10 different core values on a list of like 200 words and things. And we talked about like my whole life. And then we like tied it all back to those core values I picked. And it just helped me like learn more about myself. I'm like, oh, that's why I keep doing this thing. Okay, cool. If I want to change that thing, then like now I understand where that's coming from. Right. You just get more proactive with learning more about yourself and more effective when it comes to decision making.
My therapist and I did something very similar in the first couple of sessions where I think we nailed to 5 core values. And we haven't done it as much recently, but especially in the beginning, if there was like decisions that I felt like I had to make, like, I don't know how to feel about this situation, or I don't know what to do in this situation, she would bring it back to those core values and say, where are these values? How do these values fit into your decision? If you take this path or this path, which one more closely aligns to your core values? That makes sense.
It's good stuff.
It's huge.
That was awesome. The computer's gonna die here in a second, so we should probably wrap it before we lose all of it. Wrap it.
Would it all just delete?
Yeah.
For sure.
I don't think it will.
Thank you to the Hubert brothers for just doing the podcast, and that's the reason why we're here.
Yeah, my favorite thing about this, man, is like none of us are professionals at any of this stuff. Like we're not perfect at any of the things we're talking about, and we all know that. We're just sharing things that, hey, this has worked well. I'm still working on it, but like try this out. And it's awesome. So yeah, thank you guys for doing all this stuff. Sweet.
Dude, I'm 100% happy all the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely dialed, never a doubt in my mind.
And
Yeah.
Oh, you have trauma?
Never heard of her.
Never heard.
I was sitting here grateful to us that we just took a leap to do this, because I could see so many future trips with just different groups, sit on a couch on the last day before you leave and just like debriefing, getting real. There's no rules. We can do this however we want.
What's up?
No rules.
What's up? I'm Jacob. Podcast. But I'm extremely grateful for all of your guys' perspectives. That you guys are on a similar wavelength of how do I make the most out of my life and finding purpose and fulfillment and a love for connecting and supporting each other. Grateful for your family for allowing us to be up here.
Absolutely.
I had a final thought to just summarize the last thing, if you guys want to.
Dude, yeah, you got 6%.
All right. I feel like the biggest takeaway from this conversation, for me at least, is like, at the end of the day, when we're on our deathbeds, like the most important thing is the relationships that you built in your life. And like, this was just a good reminder that we need to prioritize that and to invest in the people that you love. And an easy way to like start to do that for those out there that are interested is like grab a good friend, go to lunch one-on-one, or pick up the phone and call that person and just like tell them why you appreciate them, tell them why you love them, and see what happens. So yeah, I think that was a cool takeaway and something I want to share.
It's beautiful.
Bang.
That was the intro, by the way.
Love you guys.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Earn Your Couch. And you know what? If you made it this far, you're one of the true listeners. So Jacob and I just want to say thank you. We appreciate you for sticking around. If you haven't already, give us a follow at Earn Your Couch on Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, and YouTube. If you have a family member or maybe a loved one or even a friend that you think would benefit from the conversation that we had today, we would really appreciate it if you shared this podcast with them. More importantly, if you are earning your couch, feel free to tag us. Tag our Instagram account at Earn Your Couch. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.